with the U.S. Taiwan Business Council, you have a true friend to Taiwan. As you can see, where the many hugs that he was given up here is a testament to that. And I appreciate, Rupert, you including me and all of our industry partners in this very important forum. And James Huang, more work to be done. We stand with you. And also, again, I can't get off the stage without just saying how humbled I have been with the kindness of the people of Taipei and the people of Taiwan. It makes this job, my job, and those of the industry partners who experience your hospitality that much more invigorating. So, ladies and gentlemen, I close with a thought that with all this, we look for ways in which we can increase our collaboration with industry and with the people of Taiwan, and I'm honored to be part of that endeavor. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Lieutenant General, for encouraging words. 为了纪念这重要的时刻，接下来我们将进行团体合照。麻烦请以下唱名的贵宾们上台，一起合影留念。To commemorate this important occasion, we ask the following guests to come out to the stage for a group photo. 外贸协会黄志芳董事长 James Huang, Chairman of TAITRA. Lieutenant General Stephen Rudder, United States Marine Corps. Rupert Hammond Chambers, President of the U.S. Taiwan Business Council. 汉翔航空工业股份有限公司胡开宏董事长 ，Mr. 开宏胡 ，Chairman of Aerospace Industrial Development Corporation。外贸协会王新蒙秘书长 Simon Wang, President of CEO of TAITRA。Robert Moss, Senior Director, Sales and Business Development, Asia Pacific Teledyne FLIR。经纬航太股份有限公司罗正方董事长 ，Mr. 郑方罗 ，Chairman of Geosat Aerospace and Technology。国防安全研究院沈明世所长兼副执行长 ，Mr. 明世沈 ，Acting Deputy CEO, Institute for National Defense and Security Research。外贸协会邱辉立副秘书长 ，Felix Cho, Executive Vice President of TAITRA。Kobe Furlan, Director of Programs, the Project 2049 Institute。好，麻烦贵宾们请看中间。Everyone, please look straight ahead. Smile. How about a thumbs up? Very good. Say. Ready?好，谢谢大家。Thank you very much. You may all return to your seats now. 好，接下来上半场讲台国防行业合作。首先，让我们欢迎这场的主持人。协会部长
improve the both mutually beneficial to provide And to do that, you need partnerships. You need partnerships within your own country, and you need external partnerships so that you can marry up technology and expertise to meet the moment, to meet the challenge inherent. So we have an excellent panel this morning, 4 very good speakers who will be coming up to talk with you and to discuss this issue. And then hopefully some of you will have prepared some good questions, and we'll do a little Q&A. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, President Hammond Chambers. 接下来，我们邀请今天第一位讲者经纬航太股份有限公司罗正方董事长为我们进行演讲。有请罗董事长。Now, please welcome our first speaker, Mr. Zheng Fang Luo, Chairman of GeoSat Aerospace and Technology, to deliver his presentation.
The President, Hammond Chambers, the Chairman Huang, General Ruder, all the distinguished participants, the leaders of defense industry, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to be here and my pleasure to address you on the topics of taking Taiwan and the U.S. defense industry cooperation to the next level. As many of you may know, Taiwan and the United States has a long-standing history for partnership when it comes to defense cooperation. This cooperation has led to improved regional defense capacity, enhanced interoperability, strength, deterrence, economic benefit for both sides, and most importantly, it has helped ensure the security and stability in the Asia-Pacific region. However, there is always room for growth and improvement, and it is my belief that we can take our partnership to the next level through increased strategic collaboration and investment. The current geopolitical situation in the region has created and urgency for defense industrial cooperation. Recently, the PLA has extended its Grey Zone operations by conducting close reconnaissance drone flights around Taiwan remote islands and outposts, as well as entering into the ADIZ in the Taiwan Strait. Recently, air patrol activities encircling Taiwan and the naval access southwest of Okinawa has become a new role of increasing pressure on Taiwan and Japan. Facing such a threat, Taiwan needs to realize a paradigm shift with respect to defense industry cooperation and quickly develop a symmetry tactic to meet these challenges. During her first term in 2016, President Tsai declared a transformational policy for Taiwan's defense industry, namely industrializing national defense and industry serving national defense. She also laid out a framework for Taiwan to invest in 5+2 critical high-tech industry as the national strategy. The UAS sector is one of 5+2 identified by her framework. On August 13, 2020, she opened a UAS innovation centers in Jiayi in person and proclaimed the establishment of Taiwan National Drone Industry Association, which is also called the National Taiwan Drone Team. Subsequently, I was elected as the chairman of the association. Half years later, on March 25th, 2023, President Tsai led a high-level government delegation to Jiayi and to again chair a discussion forum with Taiwan U.S. industry. With the presence of National Security Council and government ministers, she formally declared the U.S. industry to be a critical and a strategic industry for Taiwan. She mandated that an integrated, cohesive master plan for U.S. industry development will be formulated by the government task force led by our Deputy Prime Minister, Zheng Wen-chan. Taiwan and the United States has a history of defense industrial cooperation dating back to the 1950s. The U.S. has been a major supplier of defense equipment and technology to Taiwan. The two countries regularly engage in joint military exercise and a training program in the past. In the recent years, the U.S. has taken steps strengthening its strategic partnership with Taiwan, including approving the sale of advanced weaponry to Taiwan, such as F-16V fighter jets and M1A2 tanks. The U.S. has also increased its military presence in the region with frequently patrol by the U.S. Navy ships and the deployment of military personnel to Taiwan for training. The advantage of the enhancing cooperation between two countries in defense industry are numerous. Increasing cooperation will lead to shared knowledge, skills, and technology, which will improve each of their respective capability. Increased cooperation could lead to the development of new and more defense technology. It will also lead to the improved interoperability, which will help them work more effectively together in the joint operations. Perhaps utmost, increased cooperation between Taiwan and the US can send a strong message to potential adversaries, deterring them from taking aggressive action against Taiwan. Most recently, the defense industry has played a key role in its partnership with US defense companies recently, such as GA, MQ-9B, Sea Guardians, and AeroVironment, their Switchblade, rotary munitions. In addition to direct sale of equipment and technology, the US-Taiwan has also engaged in joint research and development projects and at developing advanced defense technology. The collaborations have focused on areas such as missile defense, cybersecurity, unmanned aerial systems, and counter-UAS systems. In comparison with the conventional weapon systems, UAV has the advantage of being distributed, agile, decentralized, and disposable. They can be mass produced locally here and enhance our domestic capacity in asymmetry warfare. UAS and supporting systems, including AI-based image processing software, are cost-effective systems that offer several advantages for our national defense. Their surveillance capacity helps military personnel identify potential threats, monitoring our border, and track the movement of enemy forces. UAV can arm with missiles and other weapons, allowing them to carry out precision strikes against enemy targets, thus reducing the risk of civilian casualty and minimizing collateral damage. They are typically less expensive compared to the main vehicle, which can make them a more cost-effective and also can be deployed more quickly. From a tactic standpoint, UAS can also be used in situations where it could be too dangerous or difficult to send in manned aircraft or ground troops. Overall, UAV provide military forces with a valuable tool for gathering intelligence, carrying out precision strikes, and conducting a wide range of military operations in a cost-effective and flexible manner. For the benefit of regional stability, Taiwan and the US can expand on US development, production, and training in several ways. Joint research and development. Taiwan and the US can collaborate on research and development projects to develop more new technology, such as new sensors and new payload, as well as improve the autonomy and intelligence of drone. Training and access. The US could provide increased training and support to Taiwan military personnel on operation and maintenance of the US. This could include the joint training exercise and the exchange of personnel for training and observation. Export of UAS. The US could also sell advanced UAS to Taiwan, which would aid Taiwan in developing its own UAS capacity. And also, we hope US can sell us the more of the armed UAS, the combat UAS, which will provide Taiwan with an additional ability to defend against the potential threat. Technology transfer. the U.S. could transfer UAS technology to Taiwan, which will allow Taiwan to develop and manufacture its own UAS industry and enhance its self-sufficiency in times of crisis. This could include technology related to the UAV sensors, software, and control systems. Cybersecurity and encryption. Given the potential for UAS to be hacked or intercepted, the US and Taiwan can collaborate on cybersecurity and encrypt algorithms to protect UAS operation and data. Artificial intelligence. UAS has become increasingly sophisticated, and AI technology has played a significant role in their development in areas such as computer vision, machine learning, autonomous decision making, and swarm technology. Deepening technology cooperation will boost Taiwan's defense capacity. Counter UAV. UAV defense system typically consists of a variety of subsystems that work together to detect, track, and neutralize the hostile drone. Key subsystems in UAV defense including radar, EO/IR sensors, radio frequency sensors, kinetic countermeasures, and C2 system. Working together, integrate of these subsystems can provide Taiwan with real-time situational awareness and decision support, as well as automated response actions. The aim of U.S.-Taiwan defense industry cooperation is to reinforce collective security and defense capacities on the first island chain, thus preventing any breach of the Indo-Pacific safety net. Taiwan has large amount of U.S. standard-issued military equipment. To improve availability and readiness, local MRO capacity should be improved and expanded through strategic international partnership with the OEMs. It is also my personal strong belief. Increasing local production capability and establish the trusted supply chain in Taiwan will be highly beneficial to the U.S. And it will certainly improve performance-based logistics in the West Pacific theater. Increasing local production will also permit Taiwan to continue to produce and supply goods under licensed production agreements in the event of naval blockade across Taiwan. These are several ways that Taiwan and the U.S. could take their defense industrial cooperation to the next level. Increasing the scope and joint research that the both sides can expand their collaboration in areas such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and space technology. By working together on the cutting-edge technology, based on Taiwan's strong semiconductor foundation, the two countries could enhance their mutual defense capacity and competitiveness. Increased investment in Taiwan defense industry. The U.S. can provide greater support to Taiwan defense industry by investing in local defense companies or establishing joint ventures. This could help strengthen Taiwan's domestic defense capacity and reduce the dependence on foreign suppliers in times of crisis. Strengthen military-to-military ties and also expand defense sales to Taiwan. enhance information sharing and cooperation on cybersecurity. In conclusion, taking Taiwan and U.S. defense industry cooperation to the next level will require concert effort from both sides to deepen their partnership and expand the scope of their collaboration. To speed up dual-use technology development and military preparedness for a potential wartime transition, U.S. development and the military implementation are probably the quickest way and the most efficient method of achieving a resilient national security. With our mutual cooperation, we certainly can enhance our mutual defense and to make sure the regional stability. Today, we open a new chapter of collaboration between Taiwan and U.S. On the basis of trust, this process must begin immediately. It is mean right now. It should be in full progress before our next meeting. My speech will end here. We are looking forward to our collaboration very soon. Thanks for your attention and your listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman 罗，谢谢罗董事长。接下来，我们邀请国防安全研究院沈明士所长兼副执行长为我们进行演讲。有请沈所长。Now let us welcome Mr. Min-shi Shen, the acting deputy CEO of the Institute for National Defense and Security Research.
Moderator, Chairman Rupert Harmon, and General Ruder, and Chairman James Huang. It's my pleasure to be here because I'm not a defense industrial expert, but the whole organization invited me to share some idea and thinking about geopolitics, and then talking about the U.S.-Taiwan industrial cooperation. You can see that first slide. We can see right now all over the world, they have almost 9 flash points. This flash point is connect each other. You can see in Korean Peninsula, East China Sea, Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, border between China, India, and Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Ukraine and Sudan. Especially, I think Taiwan Strait conflict or potential conflict is very important. We can see that among or in this conflict, they have some common feature. The first one is you can see that authoritarian state. There is an authoritarian state and with strong military capability. And they also have some dispute over border and maritime sovereignty with the neighboring country. And thus, the third one, there has been a war or conflict in the past, especially that the Taiwan Strait, China-India border, and also this situation make regional unrest. Maybe it's a good news for defense structure if some region have unrest. Also have some little or maybe bigger skirmishes keep happening in this area. We also can see that some geopolitical risk of war in the Taiwan Strait. You can see that Xi Jinping, he have a great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation or China's dream. I think Taiwan issue is a milestone of Xi Jinping great rejuvenation of a Chinese nation. And China will never abandon the use of force to Taiwan. You can see that in Xi Jinping's speech, he reminds you that he will never abandon to use force to Taiwan. You also can see from last year, August exercise, in the future, maybe a long-term blockade or containment to Taiwan from China. And because of this blockade, the logistic and ammunition shortage and stockpile in the long war is very important. And then you also can see in the Ukraine experience, critical infrastructure protection is very important. But Taiwan need to think about is sufficient or not about CIP. You also can see that example occurs in Mazu, disruption of external seabed cable, and then let Mazu, the network, stop almost 2 months. And disruption of strategic key technology and industrial, like chip and semiconductor. The value of and importance of Taiwan. I think the first one is geostrategic value of Taiwan, because Taiwan in the central position of first island chain, the loss of Taiwan of first island chain will collapse. You can see that right now, the United States increased the deployment in the Japan, or Japan increased deployment in the Nansei Island, the so-called in Okinawa, or increased the base in the Philippines, Luzon. That's the reason. And China's occupation Taiwan will strengthen China's sovereignty over Diaoyutai and elevate the rivalry between Japan and China. And China occupied Taiwan products in South China Sea or Taiping Ituaba Island, and will strengthen its control over the South China Sea. And Taiwan is a model. The third value is Taiwan is a model of the democratic political development. Losing Taiwan will lead to the rise of a totalitarian region, and the world will become more turbulent. The last value is semiconductor supply chain. If semiconductor supply chain cut off, the global economy is greatly affected. The alignment of the Ukraine war on Taiwan Strait security. The first one is the dilemma of relying on the traditional large weapon platform, because Taiwan have some argue about that asymmetric warfare and traditional or conventional weapon system development. Right now, you can see from the lesson learned of the Ukraine war, because maybe in the middle of May, Ukraine will start a big war against Russia. The big weapon system also important in this conflict, in this war. You also can see that digital dependent of a high-tech weapon. If you lose internet, if you lose network, you have many, many weapons that cannot work again. And the use of long-range precision strike weapon system, you also can see in Ukraine war and urban warfare. In first stage of Ukraine-Russia war, you can see that the Ukraine military and the people use urban warfare in the Kiev, Kharkov, or even in Kherson, in this big city. And Ukraine had 6 hero cities because they do urban warfare very well. You also can see that the improvement of the people's wealth to fight is also very important. For example, that Taiwan need to make some defense reform, especially that our compulsory or conscription system that 4 months. But because of Ukraine war, you can see that people are thinking about 4 months training is not enough. So it was successfully postponed and enlarged to the 1 year. Of course, according to the Ukraine war, the marginalization of a naval and air combat. But this lesson cannot use in Taiwan because Taiwan is an island. Naval and air combat is also very important. You also can see some defense industrial cooperation in Ukraine war. You can see that cooperation between Poland and South Korea. The crab, their gun, the crab, some part is come from Korea. If Poland want to sell to Ukraine, they need a permit from the Korea. And you can see the drone of Taiwan and sell to Poland and then transfer to Ukraine. And American, German, and French tanks to Ukraine, and United States, UK, France air defense weapons sent to Ukraine, and Eastern Europe country give spare part to Russian mad weapon of Ukraine. And artillery ammunition production and supply are also important because Korea also produce some this 155 millimeter shell for Ukraine. And you also can see the TB2 drum from Turkey. The common goods of Taiwan-U.S. defense industrial cooperation. This is a personal point of view. The first one, I think, is the reorganization of defense industrial chain from China to Taiwan. Red supply chain and change to Taiwan. And the second one is you also can see the technology transfer can enhance R&D and the manufacturing capability of Taiwan defense industry. And the raw material can be obtained nearby and to reduce the production cost also. And the solution to the logistic supply problem of nation and spare part during the war of Taiwan will resolve easily because during the wartime, we need to apply from a specific organization, apply to the United States, and United send to Taiwan. It takes a long time. If we can produce in Taiwan, our logistic supply problem will resolve. Of course, interdependence of democratic airlines are many operation and many cooperation also important because of Taiwan and United States defense industrial cooperation. But they have some variable between the Taiwan and U.S. defense industrial cooperation. The first one is, I think, the difficulty in Taiwan's emergency procurement and transportation to Taiwan from the warring country during the wartime. The second one is ammunition depot and storage facility within the range of Chinese firepower, even air or ship or their missile. And wartime shortage of raw material of production, such as steel, gunpowder, and petroleum, because we need to import from outside, from another country. And cooperation of Taiwan internal defense industrial capability and technology. We have many defense industrial of Taiwan here. Maybe we can think about how to combine, how to integrate it in Taiwan first, and then cooperation with the United States defense industrial. And Taiwan's weapon system ammunition certification, because we have some special requirement, special need, special use in Taiwan conflict. But maybe another country or another defense industrial cannot produce this one. So how to integrate it, how to cooperation, very important. Of course, enough chip or not used into the defense industrial. And personnel identification and confidentiality issue is also very important. Taiwan already takes some mechanism and pass some law or regulation to handle this issue. A personal point of view, I think U.S.-Taiwan defense industrial cooperation maybe have two models. The first model is the civilian and military model. U.S. civilian defense industrial cooperation with the Taiwan military arsenal of production. Like U.S. civilian industrial cooperate with the military civilian defense strategy, like NCSIST, Hanxiang, Asia Air, Naval Shipbuilding Center, Tank R&D Center. I think the first model. The second model is a civilian to civilian model. U.S. defense industrial cooperate with the Taiwan civilian defense industrial, like UAV, radar system, propeller, blade, and shape design. I will show you some picture about the Taiwan defense industrial, their production. The first one, I think this is very famous because it did a very good job in the Ukraine war. The drone vision, it can drop at bomb in the battlefield. And then the coming. Is coming representative here? You need to pay me the advertisement. Okay, okay. Okay, you can also see the Trump future. It's very good radar system. It's very small and used in the counter the UAV, and then the Thunder Tiger. And because Chairman Rowe here, so I give him 2 pictures. Okay. Jill said, and Chairman Rowe recently signed MOU with France, a UAV company. Okay. And then the last slide, you can see there's according to the Tech News, they already point out some maybe government or civilian company, and they have their capability and their content can cooperate with the United States defense industry. You can see Jingwei Hangtai, okay, Trump Future, their radar system, and coming, okay, and some ship design and building company. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, 沈所长. Thank you for your insightful presentation. 接下来，让我们欢迎2049计划研究所 Kobe Furlan 总监为我们进行演讲。Now, please welcome Mr. Kobe Furlan, Director of Programs of the Project 2049 Institute, to the stage.
All right, thank you all for your time today, and thank you, Chairman Huang, for hosting us, and Rupert for having me tag along with this delegation. I'll be pretty quick, kind of short and sweet. First thing I want to talk about, in Washington we have something called the say-do gap. So there's a lot of, you might have secretaries of state or defense or relevant organizations come together with their counterparts in Taiwan or otherwise and say, hey, we care about Taiwan readiness, and we care about availability, and Taiwan readiness is Japan readiness is American readiness, and all these wonderful things. But then there's a question of who does it, right? I mean, does the Pentagon detach an outfit and they start wrenching on things and making the world a better place? And the answer is no. It's doers that do it, and it's companies and organizations and civil society that put that together. U.S. President Ronald Reagan once said, the most terrifying thing you can hear in the English language is, I am the government and I'm here to help. And while the government has its role for sure, I think the points I want to make today are about the doers, right? The organizations that are going to be on the ground, and how we work our industrial cooperation strategy and convert our policies into things that actually make it possible for companies to do the work that they need to do to get on the ground here in Taiwan and make that stuff happen, make those availability rates happen, make that cooperation happen. So, I guess in talking about the doers, the next point I want to make is, why do we do industrial cooperation? Why is that even a thing? What's the objective? And trying to put it in context of the United States. If I asked you today and I said, hey, can you tell me a city in the United States, if I said the word finance, and what city might you think of? Right? People would say New York mostly. Definitely not my city. I'm from El Paso, Texas. It's not the top of the list in finance, but getting there. What if I said, semiconductors and high-tech industry, and where in America would you think of that? And they'd say, well, probably Silicon Valley is something I'd point to. But what if I said, where is defense industry? Where is our manufacturing capability? Some people would say, well, there's a lot in Arlington and Clarendon, around the D.C. area. Oh, but Texas has got a lot, and Washington, et cetera. Well, the answer is in the United States, it's in as many congressional districts as possible, right? It's part of the I don't know. It's a bad word to say the U.S. defense industrial complex, but there are systems and there are funding mechanisms that help keep the defense budget where it is, and we do things like economic impact studies to show, hey, spending on defense and these capabilities in this budget has forward linkages to our economy. So for countries, for our partners and allies that maybe don't have that system spread throughout the country, it becomes difficult then to justify these massive expenses, use of your domestic currency to spend it abroad to bring in fancy, shiny, new defense equipment, new capabilities, because at the end of the day, having really fancy airplanes and helicopters and cool stuff doesn't really increase the value of your basket of goods. It doesn't. That doesn't directly relate to your economic buying power. So how do we link that together? And so we came up with something in the 80s and the 90s. We started calling them offset programs, right? Industrial cooperation. And we said, hey, now for anything that that you spend, if I'm going to spend my national reserves and my currency and my taxpayer dollars on your equipment, I need some of that to be attributed to my domestic economy. We got to figure out what those partnerships are. And while that's economically problematic for a lot of technical, if you look at the literature, right, and you go into the economics of this, it's kind of difficult to make the case for some of these things. For example, if I make airplanes and all of a sudden you want me to cooperate in agriculture, I'm an airplane maker, so I shouldn't be working in agriculture. That doesn't make sense. So really far out offsets and industrial cooperation programs got a lot of bad press. And so countries are evolving their model. And so I think, in Taiwan, we look at one of the biggest things to address here is this matter of authority, right? Why do we do defense industrial cooperation? We do it to provide those linkages to the domestic economy, to show that, hey, even though we're buying the equipment that we need for our national security mission, we're promoting human capital, we're promoting jobs, we're promoting capability on the ground here in the future. And that's a good objective. That's a national policy, right? That's the authority behind that is the National Security Council, President Tsai administration. So what does Taiwan care about? You care about human capital development, keeping Taiwanese expertise here in Taiwan, right, and not other places, right? You care about precision manufacturing, you care about all these wonderful things. So your industrial cooperation should therefore then contribute to that, right? And if you want it to be defense related, perfectly fine. And if you want that defense related to be life cycle sustainment, repair and maintenance, because that's what, it works for your local industry, that's also perfectly fine. But we've been looking at this for quite some time. I run a program here, and we've been doing it for the last 3.5, 4 years, and you run into difficulties with this, right? With some of the life cycle sustainment angles, the pursuit of depot level maintenance, et cetera. So some of these programs, you're going to run into barriers, right? Export control issues or things that delay and take time. And so I think one of my biggest takeaways is if you're really serious about, fulfilling that national that national priority to have that economic development, the human capital, we're going to have to adjust our definition of what is direct. So some projects, if you're going to do a major FMS sale and you're doing defense industrial cooperation, some of it can go to life cycle sustainment maintenance. Very important to have that. But also, if you want to think about Taiwan's future and the supply chains of tomorrow, we need new creative ways to approach that. And that exists. There's organizations on the ground that can do that, right? TAICHA's a great organization, ITRI, NAR Labs, the National Science Technology Council, their Defense Technology Research Centers, Taiwan DITA, right? They do a great job of showing here are the partner organizations that produce things that will fulfill national security missions and contribute to the local economy. And so finding a way to balance, right, what we need for life cycle sustainment and for those equipment, those projects, which are good projects, right? But also to be able to think, okay, well, maybe if this was a project, that comes out of a program the Air Force got, and I'm having trouble getting things approved for that platform, whatever the maintenance repair that I need on that, I think creative solutions can be found in not just, if we run into roadblocks with with export control or maintenance or stuff, and we're going to have a budget that we are going to forfeit if we don't find areas of cooperation. Maybe it's best not to look at, those are established supply chains. It's very expensive to move something that already exists in California or India or Canada or whatever to Taiwan. So I would be looking at opportunities to partner with those great organizations on the ground that I just mentioned. I listed a few there. And think about what they can do to support Taiwan's long-term, like the supply chain of tomorrow and dual use capabilities, things both for defense and both for jobs. So, looking for creative angles to fulfill things that are a national security issue, but also relevant to your domestic economy. And those organizations, the TAITRA, the DIDA, the ITRI, the Guokehue, et cetera, like this is how you disseminate those opportunities. And so there's lots of issues to bring up in that regard, and how to approach those risk-limiting activities. And I could stay here for hours going through some of that, and I won't. And I promised I'd be short, and I wasn't, so I'm a liar. But just thinking about those creative ideas, right? Getting out of the bubble. If sometimes that maintenance, repair, overhaul, that sensitive stuff, go for it. But when it doesn't work, or if the issues come up, there's got to be other linkages, and that's a matter of authority and something we're eager to pursue here. So thanks for that, and I will turn it back over.
Thank you, Mr. Colby. 谢谢讲者丰富的演讲，我们谈到了许多的议题，包括台美双边国防产业合作的机会，以及面对地缘政治风险底下，台美国防企业之间的合作跟伙伴关系，还有就是台湾企业该如何定位自己，来证明他们是美国企业可靠的合作伙伴。Thank you to all the speakers for such insightful presentations. We talked about a lot, including opportunities for cooperation and partnerships between U.S. and Taiwan defense companies, how defense businesses can collaborate now and in the future to help support Taiwan's national security needs in the face of geopolitical risk. Also, how Taiwan businesses should position themselves to demonstrate that they can be both capable and dependable partners to the U.S. companies. 接下来，为更进一步探讨台美国防产业合作，我们将进行座谈交流的这个阶段。我们邀请主持人以及讲者们再次回到台上进行交流。To proceed with the panel discussion of this session, let's invite our moderator and speakers back to the stage for further discussion and exchange of ideas. Please give it up one more time for our moderator, President Hammond Chambers, and our three speakers.
Well, thank you all very much indeed. Thank you particularly to our speakers. Those were excellent presentations. I'm struck by the breadth of issues that we covered over the last 40 minutes. Everything from a really rigorous and candid assessment of the challenges that Taiwan's sovereignty faces through to how, at a practical level, we tackle those challenges in partnership. How do we look at, obviously, providing a clear understanding of what we're confronting, and then how do we get where we need to go, cognizant of the fact that that is an ongoing process. So it isn't fix and then it's fixed. It's about putting in place a process that allows us to continue to update and improve the capabilities that Taiwan has at its availability and the United States has at its availability. This is a win-win partnership. Dr. Shen, a question for you, although I would certainly appreciate any comments from our other panelists. What do you think is the biggest difficulty, biggest challenge in defense industry cooperation between Taiwan and the US? What do you see as some of the primary barriers?
Hello? Yes, we know that in the past, Taiwan and the United States had a long history defense industrial cooperation. For example, Taiwan's fighter F-5E and IDF. I think you know about that. These fighters engine cooperation and the production of rifle and machine gun. We have some background or history about the defense industry cooperation. Because of the Taiwan's research and development capability and export of important industrial technology, there are relatively few large-scale weapons system R&D technology transfer for Taiwan. But in my point of view, I think the main difficulty is the issue of the technology control and secrecy. I mentioned this in my slide. Because of the close interaction between Taiwan Strait, Taiwan and China, there are many cases of semiconductor technology being stolen and bought by China, which also make the United States worry about that technology transfer to Taiwan. There are some risks or danger that might also transfer to mainland China, or maybe were stolen by China from Taiwan. I think this is the most important issue. And Taiwan has already begun to carry out personnel confidentiality verification, and there will be major progress in technical confidentiality. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to add anything?
Well, I might just say, so on the issue of export controls, which is definitely, ITAR, and, this is the elephant in the room when it comes to cooperation and the things that we're talking about, drones and AI. And I think, getting to something I was mentioning on the podium earlier, it's also about, your time horizon. Because a lot of the things that we're trying to do, if you look at these programs for like maintenance, like for systems that already exist that are ITAR'd up all the way, like having that ability to work with organizations on the ground to talk about programs for the future, right? To develop here on the ground for Taiwan use cases already kind of within the playing bumper car development. You know where restrictions are going to be, and you can build that from the ground up. So, being able to target future programs, I think, would be helpful for overcoming export control issues. But it's a lot denser than that, I know. But thinking further ahead would be my base point.
I think in the past, the weapon systems or defense industry very hard to transfer to Taiwan. That's because the classification sensitive, and we won't want to piece off the China. But even that, we still have a successful case. For example, IDF. A lot of people here already contribute the collaboration between two countries, but it takes very long because the traditional conventional weapon is very complicated. But right now, everything changed since the Ukraine war. The drone, actually, for design a drone to make it, maybe just a couple of months. Okay, and for the drone, comparatively simple. Okay, but drone, Taiwan also can contribute something, not just waiting for the technology transfer from U.S. For example, more than 90% high-end chip produced in TSMC in here. Okay, that also very important for to make the drone smarter. With Taiwan has a very strong EMS OEM production factory. That's just not very important for both of us mass production in the future, but also we can ensure Taiwan is quite clean and trust by our democratic alliance. The last one will our soft power. Well, Taiwan has a lot of young men with the talent for AI algorithm. We know all of our company, we short of the R&D. But if we can unify together and we take advantage of the talent of Taiwanese, then we can make things faster. So that will be a new chapter, new page for our collaboration through an innovative way and speed up the collaboration.
There's a great deal of change taking place in the United States at the moment. I think actually, in fairness, it's relatively nascent, just sort of getting going in respect to releasability, what kind of technologies the United States is going to make available to its closest friends and partners. And as Chairman Lo absolutely points out, Taiwan already has some experience in producing other American technology to provide a platform for its own national security. IDF is an excellent example, Chairman Lo. Certainly there are others, and certainly there should be more in the future. And it'll be about testing the waters, but it will also require here in Taiwan a government industry level of cooperation that we haven't seen yet. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure that the country is capable of it. But the goal and objective of having an all-of-government approach to creating the right atmosphere to take in industrial secrets and industrial technologies and be able to protect them so that they're utilized only for the national interest of the country and the partner, the United States, that has released that technology. And I think there's some work to be done there. The opportunities are real, but we've got some way to go, I think, to create fully the right environment. I would add one other quick thing about this also is attempting to include more of Taiwan's companies in this area. Obviously, we've got some very well-established Taiwan defense companies, very well-known. Businesses like AIDC, for example, are globally known within the supply chain, providing subsystems for the world's largest companies. However, Taiwan has many, many small and medium-sized businesses that could potentially play a role here if they're given the right architecture and the right structure to engage and be successful. The next question, just to play off that last point I made, and Chairman Lo, I think I'm going to start with you, sir. What is the key? How should we think about the structure within Taiwan that would mobilize more Taiwan businesses to participate in this in Taiwan defense industry? What constructively could still be done to improve the access and broaden the number of businesses involved?
Well, because Taiwan has a very strong industrial foundation, a lot of category. Right now, we need a national goal, a master plan to unify all together. And also consider the drone as a new industrial. We are not compete with the AIDC, for example, right? AIDC and NCST, they will lead the military spec and for military use, particularly for bigger platform and weaponized in the future. But for small, medium enterprise, it's also important. Yeah, we can work on commercial spec and for military use. And also, we all together can participate in the counter-UAV defense system. Because we have a lot of good RF company, we have very good antenna company, we have very good in produced consumer electronics. Yeah, that's all very good, not just big company or small company. But why to participate in defense? In the past, we don't have not much chance, not encouraged by the government policy. But right now, the time is limited. I'm not saying the 2027. I see maybe 2025. We only have 3 years. So with the very limited time, we have to industrialize the national defense, or the industry have to serve the national defense. So I think this is the right time, okay? And if we can have a very clear national policy and co-work with the United States, a very good company together, then we can shorten the process. We don't need to invent everything, right? So we need a cooperation with all the joint company in the United States. Thank you.
Colby.
Well, just thinking about it from like a cooperative angle, some of the work we've done is looking into comparative models. So seeing, you know, what Australia does, Korea, Japan, and you certainly cannot pick up and copy paste a model from one of those countries. They have different economic development strategies, different political structures, different relationships with the United States. But there are good takeaways for broadening this involvement. And one of the things, you know, that I think perhaps the Australia model is something I talk about a lot, is something they call the Global Supply Chain Deed Program. And it basically is a program that brings companies from around the world, notably the United States, large primes, and they have an office there on the ground, and they, knowing what their company's long-term business strategy is and where they want to go, they're funded and their mission is to go throughout the country and do supply chain audits and start building those relationships with those companies. So that way, when it's time to do industrial cooperation, they've been preparing them for years. That gets rid of some of those non-recurring expenses and some of those barriers to entry. If you think of I want to move something to Taiwan, and you have a grid and it's time and over cost or cost over time. You know, in the beginning it's very expensive, and later on it becomes much more affordable. And Taiwan is going to be very good about getting things affordable because you're the best in the world at figuring out how to manufacture things. But the problem is getting it from that entry-level expense down to where it's affordable. And a lot of that is non-recurring expenses. It's those Polaris business class flights that come over here to go do your, you know, supply chain audits and, you know, learning about these companies. If they had an established organization on the ground constantly working on those issues, it would make things ultimately more affordable. So, yeah, the Australia model, and it's not perfect, but I think there are things to be learned from comparative models.
Professor Shen.
Yes, I think government support is very important because we can see the example of the drone. We have national team of drone. And of course, our IDS, you can see that our IDS will test in September. Where we can meet IDS because of government support. Which level government to do this? Maybe above executive yuan or National Security Council or even a president. So, but you cannot do anything or have a national team. We need to make this mechanism-like, to be a mechanism to do some U.S.-Taiwan defense industrial cooperation. I think this is very important.
Thank you all. It's a fascinating subject. I would encourage our audience to think perhaps along these lines. Taiwan's political isolation globally makes it challenging for the country to consider becoming a mass producer of complete platforms. Perhaps that's not the way to think of it, Taiwan building planes and tanks that the rest of the world buys. But Taiwan does many things incredibly well, in some instances better than anybody in the world. It can absolutely play a major role in producing subsystems that are integrated into platforms and systems that are sold in the world. Just by way of example, its technology industry, the capacity to produce high quality at pace, at affordable cost. I think one of the things that we've learned from the conflict in Ukraine at the moment is that America's defense supply chains are not what they should be. We are going to need our friends to help change that, to help improve it, to make it more robust. And that's going to be our most trusted friends. Where do we find those sorts of solutions? In the technology space, Taiwan is right at the top of the list of our partners. Why not in defense industry as well? There are many companies in this country that absolutely dominate in the commercial space in respect to relationship with the States. There's no reason why some of those businesses that we know about already or we're going to discover in the next few years cannot play a similar role as America adjusts its defense industrial base and expands its partnership with our friends and allies, of course, including Taiwan. I'm told our time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in thanking our wonderful panelists?
Thank you to our moderator and our speakers for such wonderful